We went on vacation. I was going to get to see a movie with my 7-year-old son. The plan was to go see Black Adam because Black Panther and its exploration of grief didn't sound like it was going to be a fun experience for dad and the 7-year-old. So we're going to go see Black Adam. I get there. I check the movie times. Turns out Black Adam's not playing. Strange World is. It just started the day that we decided we were going to go to the movies. I didn't know much about the movie other than it was Disney. I had looked into it just a tiny bit. And when I looked into it, it said it wasn't going to be starting here in the Philippines until January, so I didn't have to worry about it. I decided that was probably going to be a better adventure for my 7-year-old and myself. And it turns out I made a big mistake. It's absolutely a terrible movie, and I guess there's a lot of controversy about it. Like, is it too woke? Was it under-marketed? Well, one thing's for certain. It certainly lost a lot of money, and it's going to be a huge black eye on Disney as far as their reputation moving forward. Can they even do movies in theaters anymore? I can tell you right now, the reason this happened is because families, the core audience for Disney's brand, no longer have confidence in what Disney can do when they decide to deliver movies. There's far too much political motivations, far too many agendas going on within Disney. We've seen the videos, we've seen the articles. We've even heard from Bob Iger, the former and now new CEO of Disney, that identity politics are very important to Disney, and it certainly plays a large part in the movie itself, Strange World. I don't think it plays a large part in the success or failure of the movie, and I'll kind of get into that, why it wasn't very good. But I do think this tweet, and I will give a shout out to your boy Zach. I don't really follow social media all that much, but I saw this on his community tab, and I thought it was funny, and I think it perfectly encapsulates the problem with this movie and why nobody with actual families, the audience for the movie, went and saw it. This is what Brianna Wu had to say. If you thought conservatives freaked out over Lightyear, they're gonna shit the bed over Strange World, which is great. Main protagonist is gay. Older people don't find it remarkable. Biracial marriage. Almost no one is white. Climate change metaphor. Even the dog is disabled. So Brianna Wu says the movie is great and then goes out of her way to point out all the stuff that's great about it. Well, it's got biracial marriage in it. The character is gay. It's got a disabled dog, as if conservatives don't like disabled dogs. I'm a conservative-leaning individual. Can you imagine? I can't imagine myself just sitting on the street and being like, fuck that dog. He's got glaucoma. Like, I don't even like that guy. He's disabled. You know what I mean? Who thinks like that? And the whole like biracial marriage as far as conservatives, I'm conservative-leaning. I'm married to an Asian woman. My brother is far more conservative than I am. He's married to a black woman. The two guys in comic books that I know that are the most conservative, Doug Ernst and Tim Lim, are both in biracial marriages themselves. I don't understand like where this even comes from. Biracial marriage is not like a unique thing anymore. Oh, this is going to make people mad. There's a black lady and a white man married. What is this, the fucking 50s? Like, get out of here with that stuff. And as far as like the main protagonist being gay, I guess he could be considered the main protagonist, although I would consider his father to be the main protagonist. He's kind of the glue because there's a conflict between him and his father and him and his son, like the gay character of the movie. And there's like a big problem with that. When you look at the relationship in the movie, it has nothing to do with the story. You can literally cut that part of the movie out and it would change nothing because it was literally just thrown in there so they could have some identity politics in their movie that is aimed at 5 to 12-year-olds. Shockingly, parents don't really like that stuff. It's just kind of a strange thing to add into a movie with a G rating. By comparison, if you go and watch Up, which does something very similar, obviously it's by Pixar, so it's not Disney, but they are related. If you go and watch Up, they do a flashback, and there's 10 minutes explaining the relationship between the main character, the old grumpy man, and his wife that's no longer with us. And it shows you like how they went through everything. And that relationship is so integral to the story itself that if you remove that part, nothing would make sense. It wouldn't be a satisfying story. And I think Up is probably the second best animated movie I've ever seen, right after The Lion King. The real Lion King, not the fake ass one that they just recently did a few years ago. In contrast, if you go see Strange World, you can cut out the part where he says he's gay and his parents say, "We know you're gay." And then his dad's like, "Your mom and I know you're gay." And at the end, I think he hugs him or maybe he kisses him. You could cut those parts out. The movie would be 5 minutes less and it would be the exact same movie. It plays no part whatsoever because it's just fill-in bullcrap. And I think that's why the movie fails, because it's boring. It's stupid. Yes, there are some climate change metaphors in there that are so on the nose, it's hard to call them a metaphor. It's just not very good. And thus the movie bombed. Disney Animation's Strange World debuted over the long Thanksgiving holiday weekend, but it landed with, well, a strange thud. From Friday through Sunday, the film grossed just $12.2 million in the domestic box office. $18.7 million over the 4-day break. The film likely will lose more than $100 million with an M on its theatrical release, according to Variety. The film cost $180 million to make and incurred tens of millions of dollars in distribution and marketing costs around the globe. By contrast, the Thanksgiving weekend record holder Frozen made $93 million on its opening weekend, and even the comparative Pixar flop The Good Dinosaur managed a $55 million domestic Thanksgiving opening. That is a flop of biblical proportions. They lost an enormous amount of money, and they've fallen on their face so many times now, it's not even funny. You've got Turning Red, absolutely bomb. Lightyear, tying into one of the most profitable animated franchises of all times, absolutely flop. Guess what people were talking about when they talked about Lightyear and it was coming out? Hey, there's an LGBTQ representation relationship in the story. Wow, great. You put some more identity politics into Disney and you tanked a franchise, and the eroding confidence that families and parents and basically everybody has in Disney as a brand. They're not a lifestyle. They're a family entertainment brand. That is the core of what Disney is, and they've completely lost their identity because they're so engrossed in identity politics, it has overtaken everything. That is why this is failing left and right. Is it too well? Maybe, I guess. Another prevailing theory, I guess, is that it was under-marketed. One of the biggest factors pointing to Strange World's box office failure is Disney's poor marketing venture. While tens of millions were spent on global marketing, much of the promotion didn't occur until shortly before its opening weekend, so little buzz had been generated beforehand. I can tell you this, I knew the movie existed because I had looked at what was going to be coming out around Thanksgiving, and then I looked at the Philippines release schedule and it wasn't going to be there, so I didn't even look into it. But I never saw a trailer for the damn movie. It probably was under-marketed. I watch a lot of YouTube and I make a lot of comic book videos and stuff like that. But I never was exposed to what this movie was going to be about. And Disney should be happy that I wasn't, because I think if I had an inkling, just a tiny suspicion of just how bad this movie was going to be, obviously I wouldn't have taken my kid to it. Thankfully, he did have a good experience. He didn't exactly like the movie, but he loved the popcorn. We don't exactly get cheesy popcorn right here in the house, so he got a whole tub of it and he finished it. And I think that was the highlight of his day that day. But otherwise, the movie itself, not exactly engrossing. And that's really the big problem. The movie itself isn't good. There's no good word of mouth to be had. The best thing Brianna Wu and her ilk can say is, even the dog is disabled. Strange World received average reviews from critics and audiences alike, indicating it wasn't a must-see installment in Disney's animation lineup. Additionally, since Strange World is expected to release on Disney Plus within 45 days of its theatrical release, its unenthusiastic reception suggests potential audience members opted to wait for its streaming debut instead. I think the 45-day wait period between the theatrical release and going on Disney Plus had jack shit to do with this thing bombing at the box office. Who cares? If you want to see the movie, you go in and see the movie, especially if it's a big deal, if you know that it's going to be good. I think people saw the trailer, the ones that were exposed to it, and knew it was going to be bad. The best thing people would go out there and say was hey, it's got LGBT representation. Not exactly a selling point on a family movie. And when the product did get out, there's no good word of mouth because the movie absolutely sucks. It's not very good. They tried to do a few tropes that have worked in the past, certainly with Up, and it attempts to explain what makes the characters interesting and whatnot. And they do have good names, Jaeger Clade, Searcher Clade. Hey, pretty good names on that one. You find out Jaeger Clade is this big world-renowned explorer, and he's got his son in his backpack, and they look like they're having fun, and then all of a sudden they're not having fun, and then they don't like each other. And then the dad leaves him for no reason whatsoever because he wants to keep exploring. Although Searcher, I guess, is a teenager now. Maybe he's 19 or 20 at the time. And he just goes home and discovers this thing. And that's supposed to fill you in and make you understand why this guy thinks his dad hates him, or maybe he hates his dad. This movie is so unsuccessful on so many levels, it's not even funny. Bad storytelling. And the other thing that pisses me off, you know what? This is what grinds my gears right here. I am so tired of this animation style. It's not even funny. Just let Pixar do it, especially if you have human characters. The weird plastic 3D animation that Pixar made famous absolutely sucks ass when it comes to actual human beings. If you don't have monsters or animals or toys or something like that, Don't use the 3D animation. It's played out, it's boring, and it appears, since we're basically getting the same exact graphics for like the last 10 years, that there's nowhere to go forward when it comes to these human characters. Just go back to the original 2D animation. It looks better, it's more vibrant, and it's a lot more fun. You can do a lot more things with it. Let Pixar stick to the 3D stuff and let them have something unique. Everybody doing the same played out animation style absolutely sucks too. And I hate to break it to Brianna Wu, biracial marriages aren't exactly controversial. Neither are handicapped dogs, and quite frankly, neither are gay people. We've all got gay cousins, brothers, sisters. I'm sure lots of you are gay or bisexual yourselves. It's not all that interesting. That cannot be the defining characteristic of your character. Otherwise, you have a flat, one-dimensional character, and you're going to have more flops like Strange World because it absolutely sucks. The characters aren't very good. The animation needs to be 2D. I like a good adventure story. This wasn't a good adventure story. And they've been failing left and right at Disney because at Disney, agenda trumps customers. Agenda trumps entertainment. They've forgotten their identity. They've forgotten their core competencies. Not that long ago, I actually talked to my friend Kneon from Clownfish TV, and we talked about the repercussions of this, how it happened at Disney, where agenda became the most important thing they do. If you don't see the video here, there's also a link in the video description.